Hey there, how's it going? Kalispera, good afternoon from the lovely and super popular and touristy island of Mykonos. Here in Mykonos town, the main town at least for tourists to stay in. It is a maze of absolutely exquisite little lanes. Right now, it doesn't look very popular, but it is, believe me, you will be seeing that in just a minute or two. I just wanted to start the video here showing the quieter back streets, but I'm going to get down into the chaos. Well, we will see how it is now in the afternoon. In the evenings, as always, is when the Greek islands really come to life. Last night it was jam-packed walking through, especially as a tallish guy with long legs. Then it is kind of challenging the slow pace of the pedestrian traffic walking through the little lanes. So we'll see how it is now. I am here mostly just to catch a flight tomorrow night. But it is also a beautiful island, absolutely worth visiting if you can afford it, if you can stand the crowds. It is currently July 11th, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, that is 30 degrees Celsius. So we are going into the peak season now. But Mykonos is busy for a good 6 months or so of the year, but prices will be going up like crazy over the next month. And so no bicycle. I'm going to tell the story of what happened to the bicycle. It is no longer mine, technically speaking, but there is a cool element to the bicycle story, which I will get to in a few minutes. It might be a little bit distracting telling the story while walking through these lanes with so much to see, and as you can see, more people. But I wanted to give this story a nice backdrop. Even though I have walked through the lanes of Mykonos town in previous videos, this is my 4th time to Mykonos, but 3 out of 4 of my visits here were short visits in which, in one case, I was staying just for one night to catch a ferry, and 2 other times, including this time, I was catching a flight and only stayed for a couple nights. But I was lucky to stay here in Mykonos town for 10 days in February, back in, I think, 2018, and this town was an absolute ghost town. Almost nobody here, not only because of almost no tourists, but because this isn't really a locals town. It is a tourist town. Once the tourists are gone, not many locals live in the town here. There are other towns on the island where more locals live. So that was a very unique and amazing experience to get to see this popular place with almost no one around. Okay, so the story of the bicycle, another Greek island's bike story. So I'm going to start the story 3 days ago when I was on the island of Skousa. I am at the end of a month of exploring the Greek islands. Went to 10 islands in about a month, so a bit of a whirlwind tour, but they were all really, really amazing and worth visiting. Skanusa is a very small and not popular at all island, not too far away from here. So I'm going to tell the whole story of going from Skanusa Island to Mykonos here in the process. Okay, now things get really distracting. Let's kind of try to get past this, but you can get the idea of how popular this island is, especially if you saw my previous videos and all of the other islands that I went to that were a very, very different scene. But you can see why it is popular. It is gorgeous. This is one of the iconic views here of those buildings there against the sea, and then the windmills. So let's walk up to the windmills and hope that the wind doesn't blast out this video too much. Okay, so 3 days ago I was on Skanusa Island and I was planning to leave Greece. Now, the only reason really that I'm leaving Greece now, actually two reasons, is because of the 90 days limit of the Schengen zone of Europe, in which I can only stay for 90 days total in all of the 27 Schengen countries of Europe. So I was in Spain, the Netherlands, Malta, and then Greece. I've used up 2 months. I have 1 month left. I could easily spend the next month and more here in Greece. So much more to see. But I also want to see more in Europe before I get kicked out, so to speak, when the 90 days is up. So that is really the only reason that I'm leaving. Also, because it is high season, it gets busy and expensive and all that. So it is a good time to be moving on. So I was in Skanusa and trying to figure out my travel plans. I had my idea for where I was going next in mind, was checking flights and found a great flight from here, Mykonos Island, because there are limited airports on the islands. You can fly out of Mykonos or Santorini or Rhodes, etc., but not from those smaller islands, or even, I don't think even Naxos has a major airport. By the way, Norwegian getaway. I need to get to Norway. That is not where I'm flying tomorrow. Kind of unfortunately, but I am hoping that I will get there this summer, but time is running out, and so I might not. We shall see. So I booked the flight. Then I needed to book accommodation and ferries. Got all that squared away. Ferry from Skanusa Island, 2 hours to Naxos. There, a 2-hour wait for another boat going from Naxos direct to Mykonos here. This was yesterday. And so once I got all that squared away, then I decided to post about the bicycle and put it up for sale. I posted on Instagram and the community tab on my YouTube channel, and I explained I am leaving Skanusa. I will be in Naxos for 2 hours, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. yesterday, and then I will be on Mykonos for a couple of days. And so if anyone is on Naxos or Mykonos and wants to buy the bicycle, then get in touch. So posted that, and then the next day I had free to explore around Skanusa. There were various comments under the post, but nobody commented saying, yes, I want to buy the bike and I will meet you somewhere, Naxos or Mykonos. And then the next morning I had my ferry to catch. I still hadn't gotten any specific messages saying, you know, I'll see you there and I'll buy it. So this leads into the sort of travel lesson that I learned, which obviously I should know, but sometimes you just make little mistakes. So it was really important that I get this ferry and not miss it. Also, it was very windy. I wasn't sure if it might be windy enough to cancel the ferries, but that wasn't an issue. Obviously, they are prepared for the wind. But anyways, my ferry was leaving at 10:40 in the morning. Okay, there's a nice beach over there. You can see more of the island, more of the classic Cycladic islands, white and blue, more out there. So much more of this island to explore. I have tomorrow. I will see if I get the chance to get further out and show you more of the island. It's kind of a shame to just keep showing the touristy main town, but it is pretty, and I'll just see what I have time to do in the next 36 hours or so before my flight tomorrow night. So, ferry leaving Skanusa Island at 10:40. I wake up, get all ready. I got all packed up and ready to go earlier than my intended departure time of 10 o'clock. So I was on the opposite side of Skanusa Island from the port. I bicycled over there when I arrived 3 days earlier, and so I knew how much of a bike ride it was and that it would only take 15, maybe 20 minutes or so to get to the port. I'm going to walk back into the lanes and show you more of that. So my plan was to leave at 10 in the morning, 20-minute bike ride, get there 20 minutes or so early. Meanwhile, one of the guys from the hotel was taking my big backpack, so I just had to bike with my little backpack, which would make it easier because big hills getting over the island. Now, one of my just top travel tips is always get there early. Flight, train, plane, bus, whatever. I guess flight and plane are the same thing, but point being, be prepared for unexpected circumstances. Don't cut it, you know, exactly close. But I thought that I was giving myself plenty of time. But since I got all packed up early, maybe 15 or 20 minutes early, then I decided to get going, and the guy was willing to take the backpack at the same time. So we take off. He goes ahead of me. I'm on my bike. I get there in that 15 to 20 minute time frame, meet up with a guy, get my backpack, take a seat, check the time. It is 10:10. The ferry leaves at 10:40. So I thought. I take a seat thinking that I have 30 minutes to wait for the ferry, and then I pull out my ticket and double check it. It leaves at 10:20, not 10:40. If I had left at 10 o'clock, I very likely would have missed that boat, and that would have been a real disaster because it is a remote island, not many ferries leaving from there. That really would have messed up my plans. I probably would have been stuck on the island for another day, missed a day here, had my hotel reserved, etc. So luckily my philosophy of leaving early when you can happened to counteract the mistake that I made. I had just remembered it wrong and hadn't bothered to double check it. So, you know, that is an obvious travel lesson there. Always double check your tickets and arrive early. But luckily, it all worked out. Okay, let's keep on cruising here. So the boat was 2 hours to Naxos. Arrived on time, 12 o'clock. I grabbed my bike from the boat, my backpack. I'm wheeling my bike off the ferry, and just as I get off the ferry, there's this guy standing there, and he says, "Hey, that's my bike." And I'm not sure what he means, but he's friendly, and so I kind of figure out that maybe he's a viewer of mine within a second or whatever, and then get to talking with him. And it turns out he had seen the post. He was there to buy the bicycle. He had sent me an email, he said, which I never got. I double checked again later and somehow it never came through. And so he is all ready to buy the bike, like on the spot, right there. He offers 100 euros. I paid 300 for it, but I say, boom, fine with me. He's on a budget, and that was what he could afford, and it was going to be a real load off my mind to have the bike done and not be taking it to Mykonos and then trying to sell it here or figure out who to give it to. If I couldn't sell it, I was fully expecting to not end up selling it and just give it away to somebody, like to a local who can actually use a bicycle. So that was just really cool. I had 2 hours, so we went and had lunch together right at the port there. Okay, let's get down here while waiting for my ferry from Naxos to Mykonos. You can see you just step off the main route and it gets nice and quiet all of a sudden. So there was an added bonus to Jimmy from Canada buying the bicycle, which is that he said I can borrow it the next time I'm in Greece, because although he's from Canada, he lives on Naxos Island. He has Greek heritage, speaks Greek fluently, and moved to Naxos 8 years ago and has been living there and plans to stay there. So that is ultimate, especially because my friends Christos and Nicole live on Paros, which is right next to Naxos. So the next time that I come to Greece and want to do a Greek islands bike trip, I can visit my friends on Paros and then pick up the bike or vice versa, and they're right next to each other, and then get going on my adventure. As for my friends Christos and Nicole, they're a couple. He's Greek, she's English. They live on Paros together. We were trying to meet up on the little Cycladic islands, Skanusa or Koufanisi or whatever, and unfortunately the timing just wasn't going to work, so I'm not seeing them this time. But that is basically what happened. Jimmy has the bike, gave him the helmet, the gloves, the inner tube, the whole kit and caboodle, and then caught my boat here to Mykonos yesterday, and here I am. So it's really a win-win situation in which he has a decent bike for a good price. I made 100 euros, better than nothing. And I don't have to deal with buying another bike the next time or paying anything. I can just stop by. He's a really cool guy. Hang out for, you know, a couple days on Naxos. I need to show more of it and then head out on my adventure and then just drop it off with him again. So pretty sweet arrangement. All right, let's continue and try to get over to the sort of central area where it really opens up by the water. And show some more of the town in the process. So apparently these towns were constructed. Oh, whoops. I am going the wrong way because that is Jimmy's gyros. I had a gyro there for dinner last night. 6 euros for 1 gyro. Gyro is the pita sandwich, the gyro or hero as it's oftentimes called by people who don't speak Greek. So this is the way. Let's see how long this takes, but it is worth the wait to see the water up close and just more of the town. So apparently these Greek towns were consciously constructed to be a maze in order to fool attackers. I don't know if that's true or just kind of a myth or what, but as a sort of defensive element of their towns, I guess, like they would know where to go and then the attackers would get lost and they could ambush them, or I don't know, but something like that. And so it is just going to get busier and busier for the next month. August is the real peak season. Here it is July 11th, so we have a few weeks to go still before it really hits the peak. I felt like I kind of got lucky with my room, getting a room right in the main town for not a cheap price, of course, as you saw there at the beginning, but manageable. You can easily spend hundreds of euros a night, thousands of euros a night, so a little more than $100 right in the middle of things for a nice, you know, small but quite nice room. Fast Wi-Fi was about as good of a deal as you're gonna get. Okay, I think that we're getting close. So when I was here in February, imagine walking through the town here and seeing like one person every 5 minutes or something like that. It was literally just a handful of people in the town. A few locals, a couple of tourists, a few restaurants open, a very cheap room. I forget what I paid, but I'm thinking it was maybe like $30 a night or something. So, coming to Greece in winter is certainly worth considering, but you want to be prepared for a totally different experience. Days were warmish, like I could wear a t-shirt. Evenings were quite cool. I never took a swim in those 10 days. It just wasn't hot enough, and the water also is a lot colder. The sea, the Mediterranean, gets warmer in the summer and a lot colder in the winter. But it is definitely a unique experience to have the place to yourself and still have mild weather. It can get cold. I've seen videos of it snowing on Santorini, and certainly mainland Greece, especially in the north, will be genuinely winter conditions, but here on the islands it is quite pleasant, a lot of sunshine, but maybe some rain and storms. Okay, here you go. The water. So there were like a couple of restaurants right along here that were open in February. That Jimmy's Gyros place is open 24 hours. That is not common on the Greek islands. That tells you how popular it is here, and the nightlife scene of clubs still being open and people out and about. I'm sure they get lots of drunks coming in at 4 in the morning looking for a gyro. There you go, little beach there. Cruise ships, that is one of the reasons why it is so packed. When the cruise ships stop, then it gets even more crowded. Okay, that is going to do it for this video. I'll see, maybe squeeze in another video here in Greece, but tomorrow I am flying to Europe, staying within Europe, but headed for the mountains. I am really looking forward to where I'm going next. Have a good one. See ya. So I wanted to add one last thing here as I'm walking back, which is, was getting the bike worth it? And yes, absolutely, both in practical terms of just having the bike and being able to, you know, pop down to the beach that's a kilometer away, or go to the store. Like, I use the bike a lot more than you saw in the videos. I use the bike a lot, as you saw in the videos, but also just for kind of daily use. I only rented vehicles 3 times for a total of 4 days. On Spetses Island, I rented a motorbike for 1 day. On Kithnos Island, I rented a car for 2 days. And then on Folegandros Island, I rented a quad for 1 day. So more than a month, and I only rented vehicles for 4 days out of that month, and then used the bicycle every other day. Rental cars or bikes or quads can really add up. Even the quad was, I think, 35 euros. The car was 50-ish. And so I bought the bike for, well, 380 US dollars for everything, including the helmet, and then sold it for 100 for everything, so $110. So I spent 270 bucks or so having the bicycle for a month. But it certainly more than paid for itself in terms of saving on not renting cars as much, but more importantly, it was just great to have the bike. I highly recommend doing a Greek islands bike trip. They are free to bring on the ferry. You pay the normal passenger rate. Ferry prices are extremely variable. Going around those little islands, Iraklia, Danusa, Koufanisi, Skinusa, it was only 7, 8, 9 euros each ferry there. But then the ferry from Naxos to Mykonos was, I forget, but like $35, $40, something like that. It depends on the boat, kind of more than the distance. But there's no extra charge for the bike. You just wheel it on the ferry. And then you wheel off, you have your wheels. Of course, the Greek islands are very, very hilly. And so that is why I rented vehicles a few times, to be able to explore more of the islands that I was on without having to bike at all. But of course, you could find a bicycle for cheaper. I just kind of didn't want to spend a lot of time in Athens researching, going to this store, that store, looking online, meeting people, all that stuff. I figured 300 euros for a brand new bike was a pretty decent deal. And also I could have tried harder to sell it for more, but the extra whatever, 100 bucks or something, wasn't that big of a deal, especially for my time of dealing with it. So if you want, you can do like I did in 2016, find a used bike for 60 euros, whatever, and then you have it for as long as you are on the islands, and then can maybe sell it for something. So in my opinion, the Greek islands bicycle adventure is one of the ultimate adventures in the world. Go for it. All right, later.